Well, my name is Timothy O Grady. I'm living in Torun. I'm from Chicago. I've lived in several other places before getting here. I've written some books, 3 novels and 3 nonfiction books, and I'm speaking now because I was taught a couple of creative writing courses at the university here in Torun.
Życie toczyło się w powolnym rytmie. Czas zdawał się płynąć w jakiś zupełnie inny sposób. Siedząc w domu, słyszeliśmy huk fal, śpiew ptaków, szum poruszanych wiatrem liści brzmiących jak oklaski. W oknach wisiały białe lniane zasłonki, na ścianach obrazki z Najświętszym Sercem Jezusa.
I mean, your book Light hits the Polish bookstores June, right?
Yes.
Could you tell us something about it?
The story grew in my mind, but I still didn't know what to do about it. And then there arrived in my consciousness, for reasons I have no explanation for, an elderly man that I never saw, but I seemed to know how he felt, how he spoke, what he liked, what he didn't like, what his internal mechanisms were like. He was an elderly Polish man, and he was sitting at this cafe that I was sitting at in Krakow, and somehow he was going to tell this story that involved physics and love.
I am a student of English language, and well, I'm here because I truly love the language. I'm truly in it, and I wanted to get to know some new vocabulary. That's the first thing, and the second thing. Well, I used to write, and then I stopped. So I thought if I take part in such a course, I could start writing again. And well, Tim showed me that the flamboyant style is not necessarily what people would like to read, and not necessarily what I have to write. So it really helped me. But then, when it all finished, I started writing my own thing, and if it's gonna be a good story or a bad one, but I am writing, and it really helped me.
It isn't the first time I did it, but I've done it very rarely. And I would continue to do it just rarely, but I enjoyed it a lot. The teaching of English here, I lived in Spain for 10 years, and it's far more successful in Poland than it is in Spain. There's much more confidence with the language. It's a broader range. It's much more, when people speak to you in English here, it's much more comprehensible. There's much, there's just a higher standard generally of vocabulary, of use of expressions. And what surprised me about the students here was that several of them were able to play around with the language.
I wanted to see how he approached the subject and possibly do something about my own writing. Because, as you know, after you observe, you have to write things down. And it's a good opportunity to do that and to see how other people do it and try to move your own writing. I kind of felt that if I don't write anything, it would look a little bit embarrassing in front of the group. So if everybody wrote something and I had my own approach to it, and I managed to produce quite a good piece of writing, and that I was glad about. So I think it helped me, but I guess it was a little bit too short.
Mm-hmm. What I really liked about your classes was that you gave the students opportunity to work with each other, really, because did you benefit from it, perhaps?
Well, first of all, to answer the first part of your question, I think about writing, if somebody's really serious about learning how to write, which not everybody was in that class, because some people were just, trying to develop their use of English, and that wasn't their objective, is to become artists necessarily. But if somebody is going to do that, it takes a very long time, and usually what's involved in that is a great deal of reading. And if you can read critically, that is editing, this is also of great benefit. When I was a student, I worked on a literary magazine, and so I was not only, reading these great works by masters of literature, but I was also reading amateur writers' works who were sending in short stories to be considered by this magazine. And your relationship to a text like that, which is more provisional, is teaches you something about what works and what doesn't work in language. So I thought that was the reason why I wanted to introduce this concept of editing into that class.
I wanted to be more fluent, be more maybe brave, brave, just to be not afraid of a pen and a sheet of paper. Now I think that I'm more eager to just take a sheet of paper, put my thoughts on the paper.
And what are your impressions of the department?
So I had some time to assess, to verify if it's a good place for me, and I think it is. I think it is a good place. I've learned a lot of stuff here, and what is more, and I think still I'm looking forward to learn something else, maybe because it's still 3 years.
I mean, if you're interested in a sport, watching a great sports person makes you want to do it. If you're passionate about a writer and you see what they do, it makes you want to write. It makes you, well, if you're inclined to want to write, it would encourage you to write, because you want to taste that world that great person has created. So I thought if the students could explain why they were particularly interested in one particular writer, what they saw in him or her, what moved them, what it was that got them about that. I think that's at the heart of writing. I mean, even hero worship is something that surprisingly has motivated many people who subsequently became heroes. Beckett influenced Harold Pinter, and so on. It's like that. And so I think that editing and writing can be very valuable for students. And as for me, well, I learned some things about writers I hadn't heard about. One student brought in some contemporary Polish poetry that I didn't know anything about. That was very interesting for me to hear about that. Whatever they said was interesting.
My name is Katarzyna Bednarska, I'm 21 and I'm from Wrocław.
Okay, so this is your second year in Toruń. Could you say something about the impressions?
Well, I really enjoy being there because it's a beautiful, really beautiful town.
I like very much the city and how it feels. I like the sense of age, the sense of wilderness that is accessible, the feeling that it gives me. I find people very easy to deal with. You couldn't even call me deficient in the language. I know 15 words or something, so I'm somewhat cut off. But it does surprise me that the person who reads the gas meter, the postman, the person I could buy some shoelaces from, speak English.
Actually, I'm going to write my own book, so I wanted to see how difficult it really is to do it. The course by Timothy O Grady helped me a lot to practice my abilities, writing skills.
I really had a good time. I mean, I admired how everybody reacted. I thought some people had genuine natural talent. And I think there was a high level of English, and it was a sort of a good-natured feel to it that I liked.